the cars out of pit lane. Behind the safety car they will go. The work of getting the tyres back up to temperature will come now, and as they head down pit lane in the quite brilliant sunshine here at Macau today. Very hot day indeed, and those looking on from the grandstands trying to keep themselves cool, ready for the action. Parasols and umbrellas, always an essential bit of equipment when you come to Macau to spectate. Those are around the world that are currently coming into the winter months might look rather longingly at that sunshine. I can guarantee you, jolly warm at Macau when the sun shines. Looks down on the splendid Guia circuit, the 3.8 mile circuit here in Macau. So race resumption under safety car. 10 laps to go in a 12-lap race. Race required a red flag because the top two running so very, very close together. Rob Huff and Marga'z Vlogz. Rob Huff chasing the record-breaking 10 race wins at Macau. And Marga'z Vlogz having claimed the TCR China title after the penultimate race yesterday in the championship. And Marga'z Vlogz ending up with the car hitting the safety barrier violently, causing a lot of damage to the front of the car. Heavy impact, and then the marshals had to go into operation to clear the circuit, repair the safety cells in order to get racing back underway, which it is now behind the safety car. 10 laps remain, but the important job on this lap is to get the tyres up to temperature, get them ready to race here at Macau. Just coming up to 10 minutes to 1 local time in Macau, heading through the left-handed bend at Donna Maria up towards the Macau hairpin, actually down the hill to the Macau hairpin. You can see the declination as they go down from the top of the circuit on the decline, weave the cars, get heat into the tyres, get the brakes working as well on a very warm day at Macau. Final part of the circuit now. If the safety car driver and observer are happy that the field is ready to go racing, then it will peel off into pit lane and release the field to resume the Macau Guia race for 2020. Nice wide bit of the circuit on the final run down towards our bend. Last opportunity to get the tyres up to working temperature, and the final turn with Rob Huff gets the race back underway. Safety car back into pit lane and racing resumes, and the green flag waved after the safety car board to say we are now back racing with 9 laps to go, and always the advantage held by the first car to go. But Rob Huff really did get a flyer on the restart and has a goodly advantage now over the second place car, number 36 car of Zhangju Chang. in the Lincoln Co. Shell Teamwork Lincoln Co. car, who in turn is having to do a bit of defensive work there from the MGX Power car, the Hong Kong driver, Yang Chirkwai. On the mountain section they are, and somebody else has come to grief, and that's the car of Ryan Wong, and quite a bit of bodywork from the front of the car, driven over by the rest of the field. Oh dear, second day running that we've had a race that you just can't get your teeth into, and quite a heavy impact once again for the front of the car. So recovery will most certainly be required for that car, and we'll see as Rob Huff leads through police onto Moorish Corner what the word from race control is going to be about the recovery of that car of Ryan Wong. Rob Huff through Donna Maria up towards the Macau hairpin, single file throughout the race weekend. Macau field thread their way through, and Rob Huff already with a commanding gap at the front of the field. Second place, 36, Lincoln Co. of Jiangju Chang. And what is going to be the word of race control about the recovery? Is it going to be completed just under local yellow flags? Potentially quite possible. If the car can be lifted, there are cranes right the way around strategic parts of the circuit to lift the cars out of the way, and it might be that they've been able to clear that car up before the race leaders get down there, in which case the almost 2-second advantage that Rob Huff has, the cars being indicated by the arrow board to keep to one side. They have got the car out the way, and they've dressed the fluid on the circuit as well. So, and yet another accident. So that's Yang Shi in the number 3 car, and this really is becoming quite a challenging race for the touring cars. Number 3 car of Yang Shi, it's almost like deja vu, and then the car collected by Ui Fan in the 326 Racing Team car. So almost the Marga'z accident from before, and unfortunately the collection of the incident by Ui Fan. So cars 3 and 5 involved in that incident. And a grave disappointment for this Macau Guia race, in as much as we once again have a safety car intervention to deal with the cars on circuit, but it's a challenge for the drivers, get the chance to get into the groove of a lap around the Macau circuit. Can't get into the flow of a racing lap. Remember some years ago we had a similar situation where TCR cars were involved in a number of incidents here at Macau, and it was simply impossible to get any kind of flow to the race. So that's the 3 car of Yang Shi, and the inevitable collection by Ui Fan, and what a great shame. Lots and lots of bodywork and debris to be dealt with two cars to be dealt with as well, which can very often here at Macau be dealt with very quickly and effectively. And once again, it's back to safety car and trying to keep heat in the tyres. The medical cars, the most important thing that they'll be dealing with is that after a heavy incident like we've just seen, that the drivers are okay and the medics are in place. Also, opportunity for, well, they were able to do a quick fix, if you like, to deal with the fluid that was down on the circuit. Now they can do a slightly more exhaustive repair down there on the tarmac. But with the medical team, the doctors on course, tending to Yang Shi and Ui Fan, the cars all told quite clearly to come past at a really quite sedate pace past the unfortunate and rather violent incident that we've just seen between Yang Shi and Ui Fan. Red and yellow flag indicating there is a slippery surface down there at Lisboa. So the reason why Mandarin is an exceptionally fast corner, so accidents that happen at Mandarin are inevitably normally pretty violent accidents. Under safety car again we are for the Macau Guia race in 2020. The 12-lap race, it's got 7 laps to go. Behind the safety car, we will continue to tick off laps in the race as the medical team are dealing with the very important operation of tending to Yang Shi and Ui Fan. Obviously, we hope they're both absolutely okay. They've got the best medical team they could ask for, tending to them down on the circuit. And we'll make sure the drivers are okay before the recovery of the cars can be, that process can be started, and the sweeping of the circuits and potentially the repair once again of the circuit furniture as well, which might need to be looked at once again. Just goes to show you why it is so important that when the safety furniture of a circuit is damaged, that racing cannot get back underway before it's repaired back to its original condition, because there's no way of knowing if it's going to be required in exactly the same place for a second time. Through Donna Maria, up towards the Melco hairpin, downhill towards the Melco hairpin, and continue to run downhill. The circuit opens up through Black Sands, down towards Fisherman's. That was the initial incident. That was the number 93 car down at Lisboa, and you always see the violence of the energy absorption, and therefore the violence of the spin is at those kind of speeds always quite a sobering sight to see, the way that the cars are catapulted back into the centre of the circuit, and restart of a race. The chances are that there is going to be a car there running at close quarters that has got nowhere to go, and the coming together of Yang Shi and Ui Fan was one of those inevitable situations. So 6 laps to go now in our Macau Guia race. Weaving the cars to get the tyres up to temperature for an anticipated restart of the race. They've got to do it. They don't know when they will be restarting, but they need to keep the tyres with heat in them. They don't work if they haven't on a day like today. Warm ambient temperature, slightly harder to maintain heat in the tyres. In the British Touring Car Championship, we finished the season, because of the various challenges of 2020 as the red flags come out. So another interruption to the Macau Guia race. Second time of asking. The cars will head to pit lane, and as the emergency teams work down there, scene of the incident, the BMW safety car leads the field of TCR China cars down to Lisboa. So, just getting the word from the press room that with red flags and the race suspension, the second time we've had a race suspension, then the session will not be resumed. So, the Macau Guia race, indication coming. Thanks very much indeed to Nicky and the team in the press room at Macau. Hard-working team, and keeping us informed and everyone around the world informed as well of what's going on from race control. That's King Wen. We're having a look at the number 66 car. But yeah, the press room keeping us up to date and informing us that the session will not be resumed. Thank you to Nicky and Helen and the rest of the team in the press room for keeping us up to date. Hugely disappointing that we can't complete this Macau Guia race, but at the moment we are very much focused on the good health of Yang Shi and Ui Fan, with the crews down there making sure that they're okay. As we say, quite a violent accident that, and not only do we need to make sure that the drivers are okay and that they're being looked after down there, they are, but also I have a feeling there might be some repairs to the circuit furniture, not for the first time during this race. So that's why race control have deemed it to be that the session will not be resumed. That would not be the way that Rob Huff would want to claim his 10th victory at Macau. He hasn't really had the chance to show us his exceptional handling of the Guia circuit here today. Haven't been able to get into a groove in any way at all in this race. It's a big shame. So through the Macau hairpin, the Macau Guia race is unfortunately not going to be resumed. If you are just joining us, well, we've had laps, but we haven't had a huge amount of racing in the Macau Guia race. We didn't yesterday in the qualification race, and unfortunately today in the 12-lap main race we haven't either. It's very often, unfortunately, one of the problems that you have with touring cars and a very full grid. It was a very healthy and impressive grid that took the start of the race, 33 cars in total, and just with the very nature of the Guia circuit at Macau, sometimes it's just inevitable that race stoppages are going to happen, and there is, with a very firm accent on the safety of drivers, the repair of the circuit, and the necessity to include all of our timetable, which includes the next race of the day for the Macau GT Cup, the build-up to the Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, which we look forward to with a great deal of anticipation. Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Normally the Macau Grand Prix for Formula 3 cars. Last year we very excitedly welcomed the FIA, the current spec FIA Formula 3 stars and cars to Macau. Very powerful, very aerodynamic machines, the current Formula 3 cars. We were so excited to, and a double thumbs up from Rob Huff and a wave to the camera, and a shrug as well, saying the inevitable, really. But that's how it goes. That's what's happened, and you can be absolutely sure he'll be hoping that